So, Kanhiya, you can start now.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. So I think everyone of you have familiar with what is autofocus is, right? The camera automatically focus. But how it focused, which system lens used according to when DSLR comes to the market. In lens, there's a different types of autofocus systems manufacturer introduced since 1985 to till now. तो हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ changes के साथ they used it. So you guys have seen D40 and previous cameras, so older cameras and DSLR. Have you seen that when you half release the shutter, halfway you release the shutter, you see that the beam of light is focusing on your subject, one red beam of light. Have you seen that? And the many camera have that function till now, अभी भी functions. So basically, autofocus जो काम करता है, there's a two types of mode on which the autofocus is working. The one is active autofocus system, and another is the passive autofocus system. How active autofocus system work? It's the red beam that the bouncing on your character and the bouncing back to the sensor. Now sensor instruct the lens to focus on the certain distance. Because क्या होता है beam की जो light है वो character पे जाती है. Now that gives the information to the sensor to the camera. What is exactly distance is. Now sensor जो है वो lens को inform करता था what is this distance, and now then lens के अंदर जो मोटर्स होता था वो मोटर ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम में से फोकस करता था. बट बेसिकली ऐसा नहीं है कि कहीं पर भी आपका लाइट का बीम गया और फोकस कर देगा. बेसिकली इज फोकस ऑन द कॉन्ट्रास्ट बेसिस. वो कॉन्ट्रास्ट पे फोकस करता था. हैव यू एवर ट्राई टू ऑटो फोकस ऑन द व्हाइट वॉल? If you tried it, your camera is not able to focus because there is a no contrast at all. Or against the sky, there is a clear blue color sky. Your camera is not able to focus because there is no contrast at all. Without contrast, तुम्हारा auto focus काम करेगा ही नहीं. The first things that is needed when you are doing the autofocus is contrast. And and how contrast it is, have you seen simply the black paper and the white paper, take it out, और या कोई ऐसा सरफेस चूज करो जहां पर कि कॉन्ट्रास्ट हो एंड ट्राई टू फोकस इट. देन यू फील कि कैमरा जो है बहुत जल्दी फोकस कर लेता है. बट इन द प्लेन बैकग्राउंड जहां पर कि कोई कॉन्ट्रास्ट नहीं है, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू फोकस. आइदर इट इज एक्टिव और आइदर इट इज पैसिव. किसी भी मोड में होगा बट कॉन्ट्रास्ट इज नीडेड. एंड विदाउट कॉन्ट्रास्ट योर कैमरा इज नॉट एबल टू do autofocus. Okay, but you know that the problem with the active focus is कि लाइट की जो बीम थी जो बाउंस होती थी तो सर्टेन डिस्टेंस तक ही हो सकता था. ओके, आप फार अवे बहुत दूर कर रहे हो तो वहां तक लाइट की रे जाएगी नहीं, वो जो बीम है वहां तक पहुंचेगा नहीं. सो योर कैमरा इज नॉट एबल टू डू ऑटो फोकस एंड नॉट एबल टू जज दोज थिंग्स. सो देन दे इंट्रोड्यूस द पैसिव ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम. Okay, the how passive system is work, ये इंस्टेड ऑफ लेंस के सॉरी इंस्टेड ऑफ रेड बीम पे डिपेंड करने के बजाय ये क्या करता है कि ये कैमरा को डिस्टेंस बताता है. दे आर यूजिंग अनदर सेंसर फॉर फोकसिंग. ओके, दे आर नॉट यूजिंग द लेंस इंफॉर्मेशन और दे आर नॉट यूजिंग दैट द बीम कि बीम ने आके डिस्टेंस बताया, देन द सेंसर मेजर द डिस्टेंस एंड इंस्ट्रक्ट द लेंस टू फोकस ऑन इट. इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट देयर इज अनदर सेंसर. Okay, and that sensor work on the two types of detection. One is the phase detection, another is contrast detection. Now, how that sensor work? Firstly, I'll show you the pictures. Okay. Now, as illustrated over here, You guys have used Canon cameras, not the mirrorless cameras, which camera have the optical viewfinder. Have you seen that there's a 45-degree angular mirror is there, and that the image will reflect it from there into the pentaprism, and you are able to see through the viewfinder. Now at the number, this one is the mirror. Okay. Have you seen the 7 numbers over here? 7.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this one is the autofocus sensor. Okay, before 7, have you seen there's a 3 numbers? Behind that mirror, there is another mirror that is also the angular. Okay, जो मिरर आपका रिफ्लेक्ट करके पेंटाप्रिज्म में इमेज देता था, बिकॉज क्या होता, दैट इज नॉट गिविंग द फुल इंफॉर्मेशन, इट्स ओनली यू आर ओनली गेटिंग 95% ऑफ द लाइट, और कुछ लाइट्स जो है, कुछ जो है वो क्या करता था, अपने पीछे वाले सब मिरर, जिस कॉल्ड द टेक्निकल वर्ड इज द सब मिरर में वो इमेज जाके क्या करता था, वो लाइट का इंफॉर्मेशन देता था. नाउ हियर यू कैन सी दैट नंबर 3. ओके, at the number 3, have you seen that the sub mirror is also angular? Your first mirror is, your reflex mirror is 45-degree angular. Now the third one, that the sub mirror is also angular. Because of why? Because of there's another, that the 7 number, that is your sensor, autofocus sensor. Because autofocus sensor को information मिलना चाहिए. So again, sub mirror is angular, but it's not the 45-degree angular. It's 54-degree angular. So that image will produce on this sensor. Now phase detection or contrast or phase detection autofocus sensor start working on the 7. Okay, so one by one I'll just from number 1, the light is coming. This is one lens. Second one is your mirror. Okay, the third is the sub mirror. Fourth one is your sensor. Okay, one second. Okay, the fifth one is your pin, जिसपे कि वो अटैच होता है आपका जो सॉरी जो मिरर है वो अटैच होता है, वो उसका पिन. Then the sixth one, the another pin on which your another sensor is attached. Okay, the 7th one is your sensor, and the 8th your pentaprism, and 9th is your viewfinder. So you are able to see through the viewfinder. Okay. Now nowadays most of the DSLR जो अभी के टाइम के जितने भी DSLR is come with the passive autofocus system, and also have you seen that the most DSLR camera also using that ray, but that ray is not for the active focus mode. कई बार आपने देखा होगा, you just release the halfway the shutter और लाइट ब्लिंक होती है, और कैमरा क्या करता है, जज करता है और आपको फोकस करेक्टली फोकस दे देता है. समटाइम्स यू फील दैट योर ISO is bump up and you feel your autofocus is working. That ray is not active ray. वो एक्टिव ऑटोफोकस सिस्टम, इट्स द पैसिव ऑटोफोकस सिस्टम. सिर्फ क्या करता है, लाइट बढ़ा देने से यू गॉट द मोर लाइट, मोर इंफॉर्मेशन, सो कॉन्ट्रास्ट देख के वो ऑटो फोकस कर लेता है, बट इट्स नॉट द ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम. अभी आप Mark 4 में देखो या द मेनी कैमराज Mark 3 हैव दैट सिस्टम कि अगर आप ऑटो फोकस यूज कर रहे हो और देयर इज अ लेस लाइट इज ओवर देयर, योर ISO विल बम्प अप और ISO बढ़ जाएगा और यू आर एबल टू सी द थिंग्स, ऑटो फोकस अपने आप काम कर लेगा. बट वंस यू रिलीज द शटर, जो आपका एक्चुअल एक्सपोजर है, दैट विल स्टार्ट वर्किंग. उसी एक्सपोजर पे होगा, नॉट ऑन दैट एक्सपोजर, नॉट ऑन दैट ISO, दैट इज बम्प अप. You guys have used a viewfinder, right? On viewfinder, have you seen that the autofocus, numbers, autofocus points?
Yes.
Have you seen this kind
triangle
of
and
point is
double
autofocus
tick.
mode? in viewfinder, even in the live view mode. Have you seen that? You know that the focusing points, there's a 61 focusing points, there's a 11 focusing point, this kind
Yes,
of
sir. Yes, sir.
things you're seeing over there. One second. Have you seen this kind of lines, of vertical and horizontal lines?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So actually, basically, these are the this one. This one is the sensor. This is the autofocus sensor. Let's see this one. दिस वन इज ऑटो फोकस सेंसर और क्या होता है कि जितने भी सेंसर लगे हर एक फोकस पॉइंट के लिए इफ यू हैव द 11 फोकसिंग पॉइंट इट मींस देयर विल बी 22 सेंसर्स ओवर देयर और हर एक सेंसर पे देयर इज अ माइक्रो लेंस विल बी देयर ऑन ईच एंड एवरी सेंसर सो these are the sensors and now see ऐसे ही लाइंस आते हैं व्हेन यू आर यूजिंग ऑटो फोकस मोड ऐसे ही लाइंस आते हैं वर्टिकल हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइंस फॉर द ऑटो फोकस मोड the cross focusing or जो भी focusing mode आप use करते हो. Have you seen this kind of lines? Okay. Now, sir, how it works? Basically, क्या होता है when the light is coming from the that mirror, 95% light आपका चला जाता है, 5% light सब mirror में आता है. सब mirror जो वो information आपके sensor को देता है where there is a phase detection start working. Phase detection कैसे work करता है? उस पर light आ गई, आपका image आ गया. Now दो एक फोकसिंग पॉइंट का एक फोकस पॉइंट का क्या होता है दो सेंसर लगे होते हैं और द लाइट जो है उस सेंसर पे जब आती है तो कैमरे को इंफॉर्मेशन जाता है सेंसर का कि नाउ देयर इज अ प्रॉपर फोकस और किस लाइन पे प्रॉपर फोकस होगा इंफॉर्मेशन थ्रू द सेंसर सेंसर क्या करता है लेंस को इंफॉर्मेशन देता है इन्फॉर्म द लेंस और आपका ऑटो फोकस काम करना स्टार्ट करता है नाउ सी दिस इमेजेस ना Have you seen in many cameras once you are using the autofocus mode, the जो points होते हैं auto focusing points होते हैं वो start moving. आप कैमरा थोड़ा भी मूव करिए feel that your the green lines is start moving. This is because of the phase detection autofocus mode. Because phase detection में क्या होता है लाइट ऑलरेडी ऑप्टिकल लाइट्स आ चुकी होती है और उसका इंफॉर्मेशन आ चुका होता है सो वेन एवर यू स्टार्ट मूविंग योर कैमरा और योर सब्जेक्ट स्टार्ट मूविंग वो क्या करता है उसके मोशन को डिटेक्ट कर लेता है सो दैट्स द रीजन सो दैट्स द रीजन जब स्टार्ट आपका कोई भी कैरेक्टर और अदर द कैमराज यू स्टार्ट मूविंग इट उस मोशन को डिटेक्ट करने के बाद क्या होता है आपका फोकस पॉइंट अपने आप ट्रेवल करता है सो हैव यू सीन इन मार्क 4 मार्क 3 और सोनी कैमराज कि आप फेस डिटेक्शन वाला जो है फेस को आप डिटेक्ट करोगे फेस को भी डिटेक्ट करते हुए उसके मोशन को डिटेक्ट कर लेता है इट्स ड्यू टू द फेस डिटेक्शन सेंसर बिकॉज वो मूवमेंट को ट्रैक कर लेते हैं तो कोई भी मूवमेंट वाले अगर शॉट्स होते हैं इट्स बेटर टू यूज फेस डिटेक्शन why I'm telling that the face detection because nowadays there's many cameras which have the both autofocus mode as well as the face detection as well as the as well as the contrast detection mode दोनों मोड होते हैं तो कोई भी मोड आप some cameras have Sony have some A7S3 वो ऑटोमेटिकली अपने आप शिफ्ट कर लेगा but few cameras you have to shift it वो अपने आप अगर फेस डिटेक्शन वाला मोड है उसका they shifted it on the face detection before you're discussing the contrast detection, how that focus work basically. कि आप चलो ये तो information lens को दे दिया but how lens do that focusing mode. कि lens को information चला गया what is the distance or how is the contrast is. Now how lens act on it. कि lens इस पे कैसे काम करता है. Have you seen that the focus barrel is start moving, start rotating, as I've seen in autofocus mode, na? And keep hunting for the focus. You have you seen many times. उसके barrel move कर रहे होते. It's not कि exactly एक ही बार में हो गया है. Have you seen that? If you guys have the 50 mm on the kit lenses 18-135,
Yes,
Have you
sir.
seen that many times? Your focus ring is keep hunting for the
Yes,
focus.
sir.
But if your camera have the phase detection or the contrast detection, that have already have the information you at what distance you should focus, then why your lens barrel or your focus barrel is keep hunting for the focus? उसे तो एक बार में पता हो गया ना, you have to focus on the 10 feet, तो एक बार में 10 feet पे पहुंच जाता है ना. Why they are keep hunting for it? होता है ना. तो एक बार में उसे इंफॉर्मेशन चला गया. नाउ द सेंसर इज टेलिंग देम द व्हाट इज द फोकस, वेयर टू बी द फोकस. अगर ये पता चल गया तो क्या होगा, एक बार में फोकस कर लेता. बट इट्स नॉट हैपनिंग because it's due to the motor. What the focus techniques they are using, have you guys seen that the many lenses, I'm taking example from the Canon, it's STM and the USM. You guys have seen that STM and USM on your lenses?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
बिफोर कई लेंसेज ऐसे हैं जिसपे कि कहीं पर भी STM और USM नहीं लिखा हुआ है. ओके राइट, दैट इज द DC मोटर्स. इट्स कॉल्ड द DC मोटर. सबसे स्टार्टिंग जो हुआ था, इट्स काइंड ऑफ बात कर 1985 व्हेन दे इंट्रोड्यूस ऑटो फोकस मोड. देयर इज अ स्क्रू ड्राइवर काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, वो उसके साथ अटैच होता था. देन दे मूव द बैरल्स एंड मूव द फोकसिंग रिंग. आफ्टर दैट दे इंट्रोड्यूस DC मोटर्स. DC मोटर्स क्या होता था कि एक मोटराइज सिस्टम लगा हुआ था. देन दे ऑपरेट द मोटर्स, उसे इंफॉर्मेशन जाता था. देन कीप सर्चिंग फॉर द फोकस. सो इट टेक्स टाइम. इफ यू आर यूजिंग 1855 और तुम चाहे कोई अच्छा कैमरा भी यूज कर लो विच हैव द मोर फोकसिंग पॉइंट लाइक 63 फोकसिंग पॉइंट और नॉट द 11 ओनली, द मोर फोकसिंग पॉइंट, फिर भी तुम्हें बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगता था. दैट द ट्रेडिशनल लेंसेज जो थे 18 जो भी किट लेंसेज हैं 1855, right? But in another lenses, which lens have the USM features, which lens have the the STM features, वो बहुत precisely और बहुत आराम से at once और बड़े ही silently focus कर लेता था, कर लेता है. You feel that if you guys have anyone have the STM and USM lenses. So the DC initial में कोई किसी भी lenses, any lenses, I'm talking about the Canon lenses, if any lenses, they didn't write over there there's STM or USM. It means they are the DC motors inside. There's the DC motors inside. तो वो काफी टाइम लगाता था इज द फोकसिंग प्रोसेस में, बिकॉज उसको इंफॉर्मेशन गया. नाउ दे अगेन दे कीप हंटिंग फॉर इट एंड इट विल टेक टाइम बिकॉज मोटर उसके मूव होंगे और वो जाके फोकस करेगा. और वन मोर रीजन टू नॉट यूजिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स बिकॉज इट प्रोड्यूस लॉट्स ऑफ नॉइस. बहुत ज्यादा नॉइस प्रोड्यूस होता था. गैस कैन फील इट इन 1855 लेंसेज कि उसके बैरल्स कितने ज्यादा साउंड करते थे, बहुत ज्यादा साउंड प्रोड्यूस होता था. सो देन दे इंट्रोड्यूस्ड USM lenses. USM stands for the ultrasonic motor, right? They are using motor, but this is the USM. USM में भी type थे, is the USM1 and USM2. The fastest focusing is USM, right? सबसे जल्दी जो focus होता है when your sensor is giving information to the lens, focus on it. So सबसे कम time लेता that is USM mode जो है आपका USM1 और USM2, whatever the it's kind of 18 or 20 second, sorry, nanoseconds, so the fraction of seconds, 20 seconds it takes to focus, because सबसे fastest अभी यही है USM2. Okay, but now it's depend upon the how much focusing points you are using and which kind of lens you are using. अगर आप बहुत टैली यूज कर रहे हो तो ये ज्यादा टाइम लेगा. if you're using little bit normal, उस टाइम ये कम लेगा. ना it's depend, और ये they claim it कि सबसे fastest है on USM. अब तो उसके साइट पे जाओ, they claim that the सबसे fastest that 0.18 seconds, the fraction of second is will focused on it. Okay, now another is the STM lenses. STM take more time to focus than the USM, but the people are preferring STM lenses who is more involved in video shooting. Okay, the reason is ultrasonic जो मोटर है, they produce the sound, right? वो sound produce करता है. So if you are using on camera mic, so वो जो jigging का sound है, that sound will be captured. But in in STM lenses there is a stepper motor inside, और जब stepper motor काम करता है तो काफी precisely काम करता है, but it takes time. It takes more time than the USM lenses, but यूएसएम में क्या है कि वो अल्ट्रासोनिक वाइब्रेशन से काम करता है, देयर इज अ वाइब्रेशंस, अल्ट्रासोनिक रे से वाइब्रेशन क्रिएट होता है जिसके कारण क्या करता है, उसके रिंग को वो मूव करता है। बट इन स्टेपर मोटर देयर इज अ फिजिकल मोटर इनसाइड जो कि रोटेट करता है और बड़े प्रिसाइजली रोटेट करता है। सो इन स्टेपर मोटर और एसटीएम लेंसेज देयर इज अ लेस साउंड, और ऐसा है कि मतलब साउंड बहुत ही कम होगा इन कंपेयर टू, ऐसा नहीं कि साउंड होगा ही नहीं, बट इन कंपेयर टू यूएसएम साउंड उसमें कम होगा। या
Sir, STM lenses are cheaper, right? Or at the same cost?
आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है, कैन यू ड्रॉप ए मैसेज ड्रॉप बॉक्स में, बस ड्रॉप ए मैसेज, ब्रेक हो रही है आपकी वॉइस। No, yeah. USM is, USM, you have to pay more for the USM lenses because, one thing that we know in our terminology is the whatever perform faster, it will be costly. That's the thing. USM is not cheaper. STM lenses are a little bit cheaper in terms of, in compared to USM lenses, because in terms of photography, when we are using it, or most of the time once you are shooting with a DSLR, ऑन कैमरा माइक लगाते नहीं हो, सो दैट्स अ रीजन। वो क्या होता है कि लोग उसे वीडियो में भी यूज करते हैं और ट्रैकिंग सबसे फास्ट होता है। सो प्रिसाइजनेस के लिए अगर फास्टली बात करोगे तो इन कंपेयर टू एस टी एम लेंसेज, एस टी एम टेक्स 30.30 सेकेंड, फ्रैक्शन ऑफ 1/30 सेकेंड्स, but USM जो है takes only 18 or 20, but it depend upon which kind of lens you are using, which kind of optics it has, and which kind of camera you are using. तुम कैसा कैमरा यूज कर रहे हो उस पर भी डिपेंड करता है। द कंपनी का जो नॉर्म्स है, कंपनी यही कहती है 0.18 सेकेंड्स ये लेता है, बट समटाइम्स इट विल टेक मोर टाइम बिकॉज देयर इज many features inside the cameras, many settings inside the cameras. If you manipulate those things, those settings, it may be कि वो सारा आपका काम ना करे। But STM जो lenses है, suppose for the example you are purchasing that the STM lenses that the 50 mm, that 50 mm have cost only 26,000, right? But if lens you are purchasing USM lens 7200, you have to pay 1,40,000 or more than 1,40,000. With the same USM, there's no USM. Without USM, there's STM. It's 86,000 or 87,000. Because of the USM only, the optics are the remain same. बट प्राइस का डिफरेंस होता है, आइदर प्राइस का डिफरेंस तो USM 1 एंड USM 2 में भी होता है, STM 1 एंड STM 2 में भी होता है। या विनय,
हेलो सर।
या
सर जो सब मिरर होता है वो
हाँ जी,
मतलब सब मिरर होता है वो सर ऑटो फोकस सेंसर के लिए मतलब डेटा सेंड करता है, यही ना? ऑटो फोकस सेंसर के लिए डेटा सेंड करता है सब मिरर।
अरे आवाज ऐसी, वन सेकंड, ये जस्ट राइट द मैसेज, द मैसेज में टाइप कर दीजिए हाल,
ओके।
पता नहीं क्यों कट रही है इसकी आवाज, वन सेकंड। Just type the message, I'll answer you. Just read it once now, and I'll go through it. Yeah, Vinay. Because जैसे मिरर तुम्हारा होता है, what is the 45 डिग्री मिरर जो लगा होता है, वो इंफॉर्मेशन देता है तुम्हारे व्यू फाइंडर को, देन यू आर एबल टू सी थ्रू इट, राइट? वो डेटा आप देखते हो। तो सेम मिरर क्या करता है कि वो इंफॉर्मेशन देता है आपके सब मिरर को। सब मिरर क्या करता है, इज अ 54 डिग्री एंगुलर, नॉट दे गिविंग द सेम इमेज इंफॉर्मेशन टू द ऑटो फोकस सेंसर। नो ऑटो फोकस सेंसर स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन इट।
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now the another is the contrast detection. It works as name is your camera will start hunting for the contrast. कि कहाँ पर contrast है, तो camera scan करना start करेगा from the foreground to the background, and you guys can feel that things once you are using autofocus. कि अगर बहुत ज़्यादा contrast है उस टाइम में तुम्हारा कैमरा क्या करेगा, कभी जहाँ पर लाइट ज़्यादा है, जहाँ contrast बन रहा है, the camera will focus on that. If you there's a less light or dim light on your character, और बैकग्राउंड पे तुमने लाइट दिया, वहां जाके फोकस कर लेता है। यू नीड टू फोकस ओवर हियर, बट तुम्हारा फोकस पीछे चला जाता है, राइट? मेनी टाइम यू फील दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्यू टू द कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन, बिकॉज योर कैमरा कीप हंटिंग फॉर इट। कि तुम्हारे सेंसर को इंफॉर्मेशन गया, सेंसर ने क्या किया, इमेज को स्कैन करना स्टार्ट किया कि चलो कहाँ पर कॉन्ट्रास्ट है। व्हेन दे फाइंड द कॉन्ट्रास्ट, जहाँ पर सबसे ज्यादा कॉन्ट्रास्ट होगा, जहाँ पर सबसे ज्यादा एज बनेंगे कॉन्ट्रास्ट का, दे स्टार्ट फोकसिंग ऑन इट। एज मीन्स if you feel that now there's something that is there. 1 second, just give me. Suppose now there's a black and white kind of things. Now suppose for example ना तुम्हारा कैमरा सबसे जल्दी फोकस कर लेगा यहाँ पर, अगर ऐसा कुछ कॉन्ट्रास्ट मिलता है तो। सो दे कीप हंटिंग फॉर फोकस फ्रॉम फोरग्राउंड टू बैकग्राउंड। अब वंस कि उसका जो है वो क्लियर हो जाता है फोकस कहाँ करना, दे विल सेंड द इंफॉर्मेशन टू द लेंस, एंड नाउ ऑटो फोकस ऑफ द लेंस स्टार्ट वर्किंग। बट होता ही है कि इन दिस प्रोसेस, इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्कैनिंग, बिकॉज क्या हो रहा है कि इन फेस डिटेक्शन एट वंस दे गॉट द इंफॉर्मेशन, उनको इंफॉर्मेशन मिल गया है, ओके, और नाउ दे आर जस्ट टेलिंग टू द सेंसर कि कहाँ फोकस करना है या कैरेक्टर फोकस में है या नहीं। they inform the lens and now autofocus mode start working. But in contrast detection, they just keep hunting for the focus. Where is the contrast? The contrast कहाँ है? You feel it many times कि जब ऐसे कोई contrast वाले से वहाँ पे there's a less contrast, it takes time to focus because the contrast detection is activated. So जनरली क्या होगा कि ये टाइम ज़्यादा लेगा because they keep scanning for the focus. So in terms of phase detection, if you compare it, the phase detection and the contrast detection took more time than phase detection autofocus more. But one more thing, due to phase detection sensor, your camera become heavier. तुम्हारा कैमरा हैवी हो जाता है ना. If some camera have the phase detection, physically you have to fit, these elements, number 7 का जो elements है, and then another sub mirror, you need it, right? अगर फेस डिटेक्शन का मोड होगा जिसमें कैमरे में फिजिकली दिया हुआ है, you need this kind of things, तुम्हारा कैमरा हैवी हो जाएगा, right?
Yes sir.
So the one reason, दूसरा ये कि बट क्या है कि इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन, अच्छा ऐसा नहीं कि अब ये लगे मिरर लेस में भी फेस डिटेक्शन है, बट दे वर्क डिफरेंटली, करता वैसा ही, बट दे परफॉर्म डिफरेंटली. बट in viewfinder camera, which camera have the optical viewfinder, every camera must have that kind of features, that is face detection. If you're using Mark IV or any cameras, every camera have the face detection sensor. वो हमेशा मिरर के पीछे एक सब मिरर होगा और उसी तरीके से वो काम करेगा. And there is a contrast detection also. Contrast detection भी होगा. Now the third point is, right, now it's depend upon the uses कि how you use it. आप इसे use कैसे कर सकते हो, और the situations in which situation you are using it, it's depend on it. Contrast detection autofocus कहाँ ज़्यादा काम कर सकता है? तुम्हारे जब कैमरा सिंगल शॉट होगा और जो कि कैरेक्टर इज स्टिल, योर कैरेक्टर इज स्टैटिक, देयर इज नो मूवमेंट एट ऑल, सो ये बहुत जल्दी फोकस कर लेगा. वन टाइम दे स्कैन इट एंड द फोकस इट. Once your character start moving, it will take time for contrast detection because they just start keep hunting for focus. Again, they start, the movement, जो भी तुम्हारा movement है उसको scan करना start करेगा from the foreground to the background. So जो भी movement चलेगा, और किसी भी movement में अगर character का contrast कहीं कम या ज़्यादा किसी से हो रहा है, they just change the focus. Have you seen it many times in any, you are just shooting one person और किसी भी event में, or you are using the autofocus. Sometimes some another person is coming from the background, your focus just shifted on that person due to the contrast. Many times you face that problems. Either you're shooting someone or कोई पीछे से आ रहा है, your camera is shifted, your focus is shifted on that one because your camera have the contrast detection, and due to the contrast, your focus is shifted on that background. That's the one problem with it. So if your character is static, there's no much more movement, the phase detection is good, and idea of using phase detection is better. Sorry, contrast detection. I'm talking about the contrast detection. Sorry. But if your subject is in motion, right? So phase detection is good. Why phase detection is good? I'm showing you one example. Have you seen this kind of tracking lines on autofocus things in your live view mode and your viewfinder through the viewfinder? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Then this kind of lines just keep tracking your movement because they know the hand will move from this side. So अगर थोड़ा भी movement होगा, ये track कर लेगा उस movement को, and according to that उसके hand की जो movement है उसको उसी track में लेके चलेगा. So in many camera you see that कि तुम एक जगह tap करते हो and whatever the movement that character is taking, your focus is following that character, right? It didn't mean that in only face detection that kind of things is there. In contrast detection also there's a one feature, it's called the autofocus lock, but it's for the stationary characters. कि तुम उस character पे ही करोगे. अगर तुमने autofocus lock कर दिया, it means you're just locking the focus over this kind of manual focus कि वो 8 feet पे 8 feet पे ही रहेगा, it will not change. चाहे पीछे से कोई character आए हो जाए, but you have to use that functions. It's called autofocus lock or AE lock in I think AF lock. Many camera have that systems and I think you guys have used that one. कि अगर लॉक कर दोगे इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन ऑल्सो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि फोकस जो है वो बैकग्राउंड पे शिफ्ट कर जाएगा. एज अर्लियर अभी मैंने कहा कि शिफ्ट कर जाएगा. शिफ्ट तब करेगा जब आपका ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम लॉक जो है वो काम ऑन नहीं है या आपका ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम जो है वो लॉक है. बट अगर लॉक नहीं है तो आपका फोकस मे बी इट विल शिफ्ट इट. बट इन फेस डिटेक्शन, whatever the motion or movement you are taking, your sensor or your autofocus system will track that movement and give the information to the camera, to the lens, और वो focus कर लेगा.
कन्हैया, मैं थोड़ा 1 मिनट के लिए कुछ बोलना चाह रहा हूँ. Let me just have my glasses. Many student of you would be thinking that so far in the examination there is always more number of questions are on the aesthetic part of cinematography or photography rather than the technical parts. Okay, but what you don't understand is that pattern of examination can change at any point. Any point. Like, before joint entrance test used to happen, there was a section of 20 marks which was devoted for the logical reasoning questions. That section was deleted, and those marks were transferred to the descriptive part. Okay. Now it can happen, or ideally it should happen, that there should be a more technical questions along with the aesthetics. But also, when you would be qualifying the written exam, if you qualify the written exam, I hope so, in the interview they can ask any question. And you cannot say that this is not in a syllabus because there is no syllabus. So you need to be very, very thorough about technical aspect, and that is the only domain beside your practical abilities which you will be showing over there, that you should have an edge over your competitor who is sitting next to you. So there would be 35 people, and who are the 10 people who get into it? Because who has a complete, clear-cut understanding of anything they ask. And it could be anything. They are not going to ask about the reflex camera inside what is happening. So we are not talking about the reflex. What we are talking about are the still cameras. So try to understand the difference. We are not discussing the Alexa, Red, and Blackmagic and other things. We are discussing the DSLR cameras, so that this is something they expect from you to do. And you cannot say, नहीं मुझे तो नहीं मालूम, नहीं मालूम तो ठीक है, पता करके आओ, next time आ जाना, 1 साल 2 साल बाद आ जाना, क्या फर्क होगा? फर्क थोड़ी पड़ रहा है. तुम लोग वेट कर रहे हो, पिछले 1 साल से कोई फर्क पड़ रहा है उनको? कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. तुम 2 साल तक और वेट करते रहो, उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. किसी को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आज तक फरवरी 2020 के अंदर जेट एंट्रेंस एग्जाम हुआ था, आज तक किसी को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है वहां पर कि पीडीएफ फाइल तक लोड कर दें क्वेश्चन पेपर. है किसी को इंटरेस्ट? किसी को इंटरेस्ट? तो वहां पर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि आप 1 साल वेट करो, 2 साल वेट करो, फेल हो जाओ, पास हो जाओ, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. बट इफ you qualify the written, whenever it will happen, you should be thorough with your technical understanding, and that's why you people are here, not saving your 5,000 rupees like many others are saving over there and sitting at home and watching it as and when they feel like, which normally doesn't happen, because here you have a fixed time. That's why you come here and you attend and you listen live and you could ask a question. So make sure that your technical understanding has to be very, very thorough. That is one of the reasons we are paying a lot of attention to these small, small things, so that you should be technically strong. And obviously, other part of the aesthetic, which we from time and on, we do cover, and we will share with you. Okay? Carry on, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Okay. You guys use many times not the manual mode and certain another modes if you're using like shutter priority mode and aperture priority mode. Sometimes you feel your flash, if your camera have the flash, if the consumer oriented camera, you feel that suddenly your flash जो अपने आप open हो जाता है, that the flash is suddenly. It's not for that the कि तुम्हारी photos में light कम है इसलिए आ रहा है वो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Actually due to the focusing reason, because there is a less light, so they didn't feel that contrast. Camera तुम्हारा contrast को read नहीं कर पा रहा है, so that's the reason वो flash बम्प होता था और फ्लैश जाके वहां से फोकस का इंफॉर्मेशन देता है, कैमरा इज स्टार्ट फोकसिंग ऑन इट. बट इफ यू यूज द मैनुअल फोकस, जैसे ही उसे एमएफ में कर दोगे, दैट फ्लैश लाइट विल नॉट बम्प अप. सो सेम फीचर्स नाउ दैट दे इंट्रोड्यूस इन यू नो द प्रोफेशनल कैमरास, कि मेनी कैमरास हैव दैट फीचर्स कि once you switch on your cameras, once you switch on your AF mode, you have just activated the AF mode. अगर कॉन्ट्रास्ट नहीं है, लाइट कम है, डिम लाइट है, एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम योर आईएसओ विल बम्प अप और वहां जाके वो फोकस कर देता है और इंफॉर्मेशन तुम्हारे सेंसर को दे देता है. You know that these are the focusing points. You know, more focusing point means what? Canon have the Canon have 700D and Nikon D50 and another camera have the less focusing point in compared to another cameras. Few cameras like Sony A6300 have 63 points. Have you seen these points now? There's the focusing points. Why more number is better?
Yes, video making is better.
So sometimes it's better, but कभी-कभी फोटोज लेते टाइम मुझे लगता है कि फोकस जल्दी शिफ्ट हो जाता है. तो मतलब sometimes it's better. but हमेशा नहीं है.
Yeah, sometimes it's better. Why more focusing point is good? Because always you are not, always you are not using the static cameras or a static characters movement. There is no always you will not find the static characters. So it may be there is a moment certain. Suppose मैं अभी बात कर रहा हूँ, तो there is a movement of my hand or something else, or either just move back and I'm moving forward. So it may be that focus will be changed, or you have to track those movement कि मैं यहाँ से यहाँ जा रहा हूँ. So to track those movement, more focusing point is better. But once you don't want that kind of, the moment nahi hai, so there's a more features in cameras. You can switch it off. अगर जितने भी प्रोफेशनल कैमरास तुम देखोगे, either the सोनी ले लो, कैनन ले लो, ट्रैकिंग मोड ऑफ भी होता है. द मेनी मोड इज देयर. which kind of tracking, also some camera introduce which kind of tracking is there, कि मतलब एक सर्टेन स्पीड की ट्रैकिंग है, या देयर इज अ फ्लक्चुएशन कि कोई स्पीड बहुत ज्यादा है फिर कम किया फिर ज्यादा, दैट काइंड ऑफ स्पीड. कि ऐसा नहीं कि फिक्स पैटर्न पे चल रहा है. अगर फिक्स पैटर्न नहीं है तो उसके लिए देयर इज अनदर मोड. सो देयर इज अ डिफरेंट मोड. इफ यू गाइस हैव द कैमरास, go to the autofocus mode or see how much functions is there, right? Only for the autofocus point and autofocus mode, this is see how much functions is there. Ek function you just choose it wrongly, it will affect your autofocus, speed. Ek bhi. So you have to know that for the single shot, which kind of focus I have to use. For the group photos, which kind of focus or which kind of focusing point we have used. For the sports photography, which kind of focus mode you have to use. Autofocus to use kar rahe ho. But there's a many things for sports photography or either the wildlife, जहाँ पे तुम्हें uncertain moment, you don't know कि कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच रहा है. So for that kind of tracking, there's another mode in your camera and in your autofocus mode. So the more focus point is good when your character is, in moment. And one more thing, the more focus point means on the normal or as much as possible wide. If your camera is providing, right, 63 focusing points, some cameras, take an example, Sony or some other cameras. If your camera have the 63 focusing points, means 63 focusing points when we are using the normal or wide. If you are using telephoto lenses, that number will decrease. वो 63 काम नहीं करेगा because the angle अब कम हो रहा है उसका. So that's the reason that point will not activate. वो point का information नहीं जाएगा. So every camera, the camera manufacturer didn't inform it, और उनके specification में नहीं रहता है. But अगर आप उसके वेबसाइट पे जाके देखोगे, डिटेल्ड में जाके देखोगे, तब जाके कहीं ना कहीं रखा हुआ रहता है कि if you are using 200 mm, your angle of view will be 8 degree, then how much focusing point will be worked. So suppose you are the wildlife photographer, so you didn't need कि मुझे कितना कौन सा mm तुम यूज कर रहे हो, you are using 800 mm, तो तुम्हें ज्यादा नंबर ऑफ फोकस वाले चाहिए, क्योंकि करते हुए भी कंप्रेस होने के बाद भी you have at least more number of focusing points. सपोज तुम 700 पे लगा दोगे 200 mm और 400 mm, तो फोकसिंग पॉइंट बहुत रिड्यूस हो जाएगा. इट्स रिमेन 2 और 3. इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू फोकस. यू गाइस हैव सीन दैट कि फुल फ्रेम कैमरास या जिसमें कि नंबर ऑफ फोकसिंग पॉइंट्स ज्यादा होते हैं, टेलीफोटो का फोकस ज्यादा अच्छे से काम करता है इन कंपेयर टू द कैमरा, विच कैमरा हैव द लेस नंबर ऑफ फोकसिंग पॉइंट्स. बिकॉज टेलीफोटो जैसे ही लगता है फोकसिंग पॉइंट्स और रिड्यूस हो जाते हैं. इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट to focus on the moving characters. Static फिर भी कर लेगा, but for the moving characters is very difficult. So if you are using the telephoto lenses, or someone is using telephoto lenses, it's good for him to use the sensors or autofocus mode which have more focusing points. So it's depend on usage. If you are using the wide और तुम्हें ज़्यादा काम नहीं है, इतने static movement नहीं है, you can go with the least number of autofocus points. I have already explained it. So if you want to read, just read it once. Okay. This example I took from the Canon. Canon have this more the single AF system. Nikon भी use करता है, and the Sony have the also same system. So the name will be different. It's depend. Okay. So in the single AF mode, how your camera will perform, you have to choose. आपने कर लिया, आपके contrast detection है, phase detection है, whatever the system is there. Now inside the camera there is a function. You will use the single autofocus mode or continuous autofocus mode. If you guys have been used, you feel the difference once we are using the continuous focusing mode in the characters की जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा जो character तुम्हारा why you are facing problem. Someone asked me कि मैं एक ही point focus single character पे use करता हूँ फिर भी it takes time to focus, right? Because you are using continuous autofocus mode. So जो उसके moment का है focus को shift होने का track करने का that function is start working. जिसकी तुम्हें जरूरत नहीं बट फिर भी वो ट्रैक कर रहा है because there is no tracking at all but you are shooting on continuous AF mode. That's the reason they just keep hunting for there must be the moment. So also it will take time. If your character is static and you are using the continuous AF mode, it will take time. Not the too much time, but little bit more than the single AF point. Single AF point में क्या होता है? You just check the one focusing point and तुम्हारा कैमरा वहां पर contrast देखेगा single focus point पे और वो focus कर लेगा. Have you seen that you just release the halfway your shutter, right? Shutter जैसे release करते हो कैमरा start hunting for the focus. Does I feel that? जैसे ही करते हो पहले क्या होता है हाफ वे रिलीज शटर किया इट्स स्टार्ट हंटिंग फॉर द फोकस और वो आके इंफॉर्मेशन देता है कैमरा स्टार्ट फोकसिंग और वहां जाके फोकस हो जाता है आपका. बट इन कंटिन्यूअस मोड कई बार देखो कि हाफ वे शटर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. कंटिन्यूअस फोकसिंग मोड में यू जस्ट रिलीज इट. एक बार फोकस कर लिया तो रिलीज कर सकते हो उसे शटर को बार बार. ऐसा नहीं कि हमेशा तुम्हें हंट करना पड़ेगा. वंस यू फोकस्ड इट उसके मोशन को ट्रैक करेगा. यू जस्ट रिलीज द शटर. सिर्फ शटर रिलीज करना. बट मेनी टाइम्स इफ यू आर यूजिंग सिंगल फोकसिंग मोड यू जस्ट एवरी टाइम यू हैव टू प्लेस योर शटर हाफ वे. वो हाफ वे रिलीज करोगे वो फोकस करेगा और सॉरी हाफ वे रिलीज करोगे इंफॉर्मेशन देगा फिर फोकस करेगा. सो इट विल टेक टाइम और तुम्हें इंफॉर्मेशन आगे दे. बट वंस ट्रैकिंग मोड और तुम्हारा कैरेक्टर मूवमेंट में है एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इट्स गुड टू यूज कंटिन्यूअस AF मोड. Okay, I have told you guys that few camera are using the both function, right? कि contrast भी और phase भी दोनों detection use करता है. So अब AF mode में भी functions हैं. It's called the hybrid mode और full time servo mode. तो किसी ने use किया होगा I think Canon 4 में भी है और there's another camera Sony के कैमरे में है. Then the Pentax Panasonic में भी है. Few camera have that functions. There's the वो क्या करता है वो automatically शिफ्ट कर लेता है अपने आप को AFS और AFC मोड में. इफ योर कैमरा इफ योर कैरेक्टर सडनली स्टार्ट मूविंग जो ऑटो फोकस मोड अगर तुम्हारा हाइब्रिड मोड है क्या करेगा अपने आप को शिफ्ट कर लेगा AFC मोड में. ओके जैसे कि सेंसर का मैंने कहा था कि ऑटो फोकस सेंसर का कि वो अपने आप क्या करता है फेस डिटेक्शन से कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन में आ जाता है. सो इफ यू आर यूजिंग इन ऑटो फोकस मोड देयर इज अ हाइब्रिड मोड. वो अपने आप को क्या करेगा सिंगल फोकस सिस्टम से सीधा क्या करेगा AFC मोड पे शिफ्ट कर लेगा. वंस योर स्टार्ट योर कैरेक्टर स्टार्ट मूविंग वो अपने आप शिफ्ट कर लेते. यू डोंट नीड टू स्विच इट. But this is only Nikon I think Nikon have been used. The full time servo mode is the AFF. Just read it once. Okay. Right. One second. Sorry. I'm giving you another PPT. Just 1 second. Sorry. One second. Okay. Okay, one thing that I'm mentioning over here, I just forget to tell you guys. You know the was the rear element of the lens and the sensor, right? जो distance है, वो distance और whatever the distance from the rear element to the 7, ये जो तुम्हारा auto focus sensor का है, वो distance बिल्कुल सही होना चाहिए. उस दोनों के distance में अगर मान लो suppose कि for example from the sensor to the autofocus sensor distance is precisely they made it for the 15 mm something जो भी fix होगा it must be 15 mm. सपोज कि क्या होता है कि बार तुम्हारा कैमरा गिर गया या द अलाइनमेंट ऑफ लेंस मे बी कि चेंज हो गया तो क्या होगा दिस सिस्टम इज नॉट वर्किंग. ये सिस्टम काम नहीं करेगा, ऑटो फोकस तुम्हारा एक्यूरेट नहीं देगा. इट जस्ट कीप हंटिंग फॉर द फोकस. ये अगर थोड़ा भी इधर उधर हो गया, इधर तुम्हारा जो ये ऑटो फोकस सेंसर है उसमें कोई मूवमेंट हुआ कैमरा गिरने से, और इधर तुम्हारे सेंसर के गिरने से, सेंसर की सेटिंग में कोई पॉजिशनिंग में थोड़ा बहुत भी लिटिल बिट माइनर सा भी हुआ तो तुम्हारा ऑटो फोकस कैमरा नहीं होगा. सो दैट्स द रीजन अभी जो जायरो वाले सिस्टम्स होते हैं या जो मिररलेस कैमराज हैं, देयर इज नो फिजिकल ऑटो फोकस सेंसर. उसी किसी भी मिररलेस में ऑटो फोकस सिस्टम नहीं, बिकॉज दैट सेंसर स्टार्ट मूविंग. यस्टरडे जैसे मैंने कहा था कि सेंसर एस्टैब्लिशन के लिए यूज होता है. तो सपोज अगर ये ऑटो फोकस होता वहां पे और सेंसर स्टार्ट मूविंग तो डिस्टेंस में भी क्या होता, थोड़ा बहुत कंपनसेट हो सकता. सो दैट्स द रीजन इन मिररलेस कैमराज देयर इज अ कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन. और कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन के लिए जो सेंसर होता है वो तुम्हारे अपने जो सेंसर है कैमरा के उसके ऊपर ही लगा होता है फॉर द कॉन्ट्रास्ट डिटेक्शन.
सर
सो दिस अलाइनमेंट इज, अगर आपका कैमरा ऑटो फोकस नहीं कर रहा है और टेकिंग टाइम्स या ऑटो फोकस में ब्लर दे रहा है फोकस होने के बाद भी, इट मींस देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम विद योर अलाइनमेंट. आइदर योर कैमरा गिर गया है तुम्हारा और देयर सम प्रॉब्लम्स विद इट, या डस्टिंग का या कुछ भी हो सकता है, सम प्रॉब्लम्स. सो दैट्स द रीजन. ये इसकी शिफ्टिंग में कोई प्रॉब्लम होगी, दैट्स द रीजन योर कैमरा इज नॉट वर्किंग प्रॉपर्ली. सो यू जस्ट कीप चेंजिंग योर लेंस, यू आर फीलिंग द सेम थिंग्स. इट मींस द प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट विद योर लेंस, द प्रॉब्लम इज विद योर cameras or your sensor, your autofocus sensor.
सर हेलो.
Yeah.
सर कैनन में जो डुअल पिक्सल ऑटो फोकस होता है तो वो तो सेंसर में ही होता है, तो उसमें तो ऑटो फोकस का जो मैकेनिज्म आपने बताया वो तो नहीं होगा.
कौन से कैमरे में, कैनन के कौन से कैमरा?
डुअल पिक्सल ऑटो फोकस 200D Mark II.
Yeah. There's a dual pixel is another things. Dual pixel is another thing. Dual pixel is not, they are not using for the, there is a sensor for the contrast detection. As I told you earlier, the some camera using both functions as well as the contrast as well as the phase detection both. So जो dual pixel की आप बात कर, that's the another things. वो dual pixel काम करता है because they are using the two images. वो pixels के लिए काम करता है, there's the two images. वो raw image की बात है वो, बिकॉज थोड़ा बहुत जो फोकस का जो मोमेंट होता है फॉर द शार्पनेस दे आर यूजिंग, कि फॉर द माइक्रो, यू कैन से द टेक्निकल वर्ड इज द माइक्रो एडजस्टमेंट ऑफ द फोकस, दे आर यूजिंग द डुअल सिस्टम, डुअल जो पिक्सल्स तुम कह रहे हो. फॉर द माइक्रो एडजस्टमेंट समटाइम्स यू फोकस ऑन नोज, यू फील दैट eyes is not as much as sharp, so there is something in that adjustment, in that mode अगर तुम शूट करते हो, so you feel that when you activated that the dual pixel mode, at that point of time you got two raw images basically. वो क्या करता है, दो images produce करता है. Raw के भी दो images produce होते हैं if you are using the dual pixel raw. If you guys have used it, have you used it?
Yes, sir. But
Yeah,
yes,
you
sir.
use it. You feel that there's a two images.
No.
There's only one image
Yes, sir.
in dual pixel raw.
Yes, sir. मतलब एक JPEG आता है और एक RAW
No,
आता
no,
है.
no, 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 no. In dual pixel raw, you have two images of raw images. It maybe they updated or they maybe they upgraded, but in Mark 4, which I'm using, there's a two images. So once you are shooting the dual pixel raw, you are getting 30 MBs, 30 MBs, two images. That's for the micro adjustment. जब तक तुम्हारे पास दो images नहीं होंगे उसकी adjustment नहीं होती थी, और there is a certain software for the dual pixel raw जिसमें कि micro adjustment possible है. Even you can change the shape of bokeh also, है ना, वो भी functions है उसमें. बट अभी सॉफ्टवेयर आए हैं जिसमें कि तुम माइक्रो एडजस्टमेंट बोके का भी कर सकते हो, एंड माइक्रो एडजस्टमेंट फोकस कर, नॉट टू मच कि बिल्कुल यहाँ आउट ऑफ फोकस का और यहाँ फोकस कर, नॉट लाइक द ओप्पो फोन, बट दे आर टेकिंग टू इमेजेस. ओके, लेटर ऑन इफ आई हैव द टाइम आई विल डिस्कस ऑन दैट थिंग्स. दैट्स नॉट फॉर द फोकस, बट तुम्हारा जो सेंसर के ऊपर है वहीं लगा हुआ रहता है ऑटो फोकस सेंसर. सेंसर पे ही ऑटो फोकस सेंसर लगा हुआ रहता है.
Okay, sir.
हेलो सर.
Wazir, anything
Sir,
else? इससे
yes,
कुछ भी
sir.
पूछना है किसी को, जस्ट आस्क मी.
सर अगर ऑटो फोकस अच्छे से काम नहीं कर रहा है तो जो FFD होता है, फ्लाइंग फोकल डिस्टेंस, उसमें चेंजेस हुआ तभी ना सर.
इट मे बी FFD विल बी चेंज, मे बी हो सकता है FFD चेंज होगा. तुम्हारा जो क्या कहते हैं, जहाँ लेंस माउंट होता है टू द सेंसर जो डिस्टेंस, इट मे बी तुम्हारा कैमरा गिरा होगा और सेंसर जस्ट शिफ्ट द पोजीशन. सो दैट्स द रीजन. ये फ्लैंक फोकल डिस्टेंस मैच नहीं कर रहा है तो तुम्हारा वो काम नहीं करेगा. दैट्स द वन रीजन. समटाइम्स यू, इफ यू आर यूजिंग एडेप्टर, योर ऑटो फोकस इज नॉट वर्किंग. द मेनी कैमरा हैव दैट थिंग्स, राइट? इफ यू गाइस हैव एवर यूज्ड एडेप्टर और मेटाबॉन्स जो भी यूज करते हैं, यू फील दैट द मेनी टाइम्स वो यूज नहीं होता है ना. तुम जो लेंस लगाते हो, योर ऑटो फोकस इज नॉट वर्किंग. सपोज यू आर यूजिंग सोनी A7 III और कोई और तुम लेंस यूज कर लो, थर्ड पार्टी लेंस, और अदर कैनन लेंसेज, यू वांट टू यूज अ कैनन लेंसेज, और तुम जो मेटा वाला है वो यूज करो उस पे, तो कैमरा विल नॉट डू ऑटो फोकस, वो ऑटो फोकस नहीं करेगा. सो इट डिपेंड्स, है ना.
ओके सर.
हेलो सर. सर माय क्वेश्चन इज, जब हम पैनिंग फोटोग्राफी करते हैं तो उसमें सर्वो जो होता है, ऑटो फोकस सर्वो, वो किस तरीके से हेल्प करता है?
या
सर पैनिंग फोटोग्राफी में
या
ऑटो फोकस सर्वो हम यूज करते हैं तो वो किस तरीके से हेल्प करता है, और बाकी फोकसिंग पे हम पैनिंग फोटोग्राफी क्यों नहीं कर सकते सर्वो के अलावा?
वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही तुम्हारी. कैन यू ड्रॉप मैसेज, ड्रॉप करो. पता नहीं मेरे हेडफोन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, समथिंग लाइक.
ओके सर, आई कैन ड्रॉप.
just drop me message.
ओके सर.
Just drop a message. So, okay, in contrast detection, it will work with adapter or not. No, मैं वो नहीं कह रहा हूँ. चाहे either it will be the phase detection or is the contrast detection. कोई भी होगा. Some it's depend upon the उसके third party lenses पे depend करता है कि वो focus करेगा या नहीं करेगा. Okay, so it depend upon the thickness, कि कैसा थिकनेस है, एग्जैक्टली उसी के लिए बना हुआ है या नहीं बना हुआ है एडेप्टर. अब ऐसे ना कि कई कंपनियां होती है जो अपने लिए स्पेशल बनाती हैं एडेप्टर, कि मैं सोनी के लेंसेज यूज करूंगा, सो दे मैन्युफैक्चर वो पर्टिकुलर द एडेप्टर, बहुत सारे लोकल एडेप्टर भी आते हैं, काइंड ऑफ चाइनीज, और जो कम प्राइस वाले होते हैं, यू गॉट द एडेप्टर इन 4,000 5,000, बट जो कैनन के तुम प्रॉपर एडेप्टर लेना चाहोगे तो यू हैव टू पे फॉर मोर देन द 15,000, मोर देन दैट, सो इट डिपेंड्स. Is the penning photography how I have servo work? The servo mode जब यूज करते हो ना, servo mode क्या करते हैं, how it works, they just judge your moment. एक तुम्हारे moment से ना ओवरऑल एक आइडिया लगा लेते हैं how it will move. Your character will move left to right or right to move, तो right to left. तो मोमेंट से जो है, बॉडी के मोमेंट से तुम्हारे कॉन्ट्रास्ट के मोमेंट, कॉन्ट्रास्ट ही है ना बेसिकली, बॉडी का कॉन्ट्रास्ट हुआ, जहां पर कॉन्ट्रास्ट बना, अब वो ये देखता है कि उसका मूवमेंट किधर है, लेफ्ट टू राइट है और आइदर राइट टू लेफ्ट, तो वो एक जज कर लेता है. सो दैट्स द रीजन इन पैनिंग, अगर तुम पैन कर रहे हो या समथिंग मूवमेंट, और ये आप सर्वो इज गुड बिकॉज उसके फोकस पॉइंट आगे जिधर भी मूवमेंट होगा वहां वो फोकस कर लेगा. सो दैट्स द रीजन ई सर्वो इज गुड व्हेन वंस यू आर यूजिंग द पैनिंग द कैमरास, और देयर इज अ मूवमेंट, कुछ भी कर रहे हो, जो भी मूवमेंट है उस मूवमेंट को ट्रैक कर लेगा. पैन तो उसी चीज को करोगे ना, किसी को फॉलो करने के लिए, उसी कॉन्ट्रास्ट को लेके चलता है, वो उसी मूवमेंट को लेके चलता है. So as well, panning is the AF servo mode is good to use. So guys, 7:30. So we take the 10 minutes break and just resume the classes by 7:40.
Okay, sir.
Right?
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश वाला जोखिमों के अधीन है, योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान presenting Geo 1 cashback, India's biggest cashback. Earn 10 to 30% cashback every day by shopping at any Reliance retail store or online store. And you can make anywhere from second October to take your best.
So guys, I'm saying this PPT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yesterday I told you guys to watch the Grand Budapest Hotel. I hope everyone have watched it, right?
Yes.
After watching, you guys have written something on it you like, and kind of in the composition that you're seeing. Right. So basically, I just took some frame for the examples and some scene for the example. I'll not go the frame by frame because it takes too much time, but at the brief discussion on it. So जो literally जो एक मैंने find किया, once you write about the films and you are just explaining the films, जब भी लिखते हो, the first thing that I noticed, don't use the word adjective. What I'm trying to say, adjective means कि suppose कि the tea is sweet, like, तो तुम normal ऐसा लिख दोगी फिल्म अच्छी है और kind of things, so don't use adjective, just explain those adjectives. कि आप उसको एक्सप्लेन कैसे कर सकते हो कि चाय अच्छी है, how you explain is that's the term of cinematography. In terms of cinematography, अच्छी है बट कैसे है, तुमने इस विजुअल्स को कैसे देखा, try to explain those elements, not like your frame बहुत अच्छा था, कलर्स बहुत अच्छा यूज किया है, लाइटिंग बहुत अच्छी थी, not in that manner. So don't use adjective, just avoid it and just one second. One second. Agar just mute your mic. Yeah. Okay, we started from the first frame, in which have you guys seen that the was the name as the Mustafa, right? The children is a zero. Have you seen those frames? And that person, that old person, is in the left corner. You've seen that the white frame. Have you guys seen in the left corners? In center, there's a map of hotels, and the left side, if you divide the frame quarterly, 3 quarter, one part में आप divide करते हो, so that person is in the corner, is sitting in the corners in the white frame. Center have the hotels, the map, and that the left third one have one small कोई tree सा छोटा सा है, that is, if you guys have seen that things. Have you seen the color of that tree? By mistake, I don't have that image. If you guys watch that thing, see that tree is merging, that particular tree is merging in the background, and that kind of frame can show the loneliness of the person because he is not in center, right? So बिल्कुल corner में है, 1/3 में पड़ा हुआ, in center there's a map of hotels, and the right hand side whatever the things is emerging in the background. So that create the kind of isolation of the person, right? Because through the framing you can judge the emotions, you can convey the emotions through the frame. If person is the frame is the center, which kind of emotions you convey? Business center, he is in the corners, somewhere in the corners, you feel that the isolations कि वो background में merge हो रहा है, kind of. If someone is like that, but someone is the center, you feel the dominance of that person. Okay, so the first shot is like that, but once they introduce in this shot, have you guys seen this one? See the color contrast of this one, no? See the background, see the costumes. Now is it emerging like that? ये color contrast से क्या हो रहा है कि for the audience, the what visually impact of this frame is, ये stand out हो रहा है, like this character is standing out in frame, कि ये बाहर आ रहा है frame से due to contrast. And even you can see the change of light, the changing in the nature of lights. If you guys have watched it carefully, then you can feel it. The light भी change होता है when you start talking about his a girlfriend Agatha. When they start talking, you see, according to emotions, light has become little bit harder. जब उसके close up shots होते हैं, you can feel that the change of light has become little bit harsh on his face. See the colors over here. Now see this one. Have you watched these films? Have you seen the changing in lighting? Now see this frame. See throughout this frame, have you seen that this kind of the costume that they're wearing is the uniform of these hotels, that the purple colors and have you seen that the how much space they are giving in the frame for this character, for this particular character? So you feel that the अगर तुम ऐसे normal हम compose करते feel that बहुत ज़्यादा space हमने दे दिया है, but is the space for those characters कि he on the place, it's feel like that because he is in center. So through this framing you feel that he is owning this space को on करता है, a rest of the person is working with him, so feel that closeness of that persons because all are wearing the same costume, same colors. Okay, so जो feel है कि पूरा character जो है जितने भी लोग हैं they are working together, and but this person because he is in the center there's a empty space, against him, जो आगे का area उसमें empty space है, that feel like this person is dominating. ये person जो है अपना ये जो person है वो is leading because he is in the center. Okay, if he is well left or right hand side, do you feel that it's feel like he is the leader? If someone is leading, कोई भी अगर लीड कर रहा होता है, हाउ यू फील दैट, वो कहाँ होता है, इज विल बी इन ऑलवेज ही विल इन सेंटर. सो वहां से वो लीड करता है थ्रू आउट दिस फ्रेम. यू फील दैट. One more thing that I'm talking about this topic. Say in this one, that lady, I just forgot her name, is wearing the costume is red, right? Most of the time we predict the red is for what? Red for the romance we are using, Sometimes we are using for the danger, but in this one, red is for the danger. Because after this shot, this lady not dead. ये उसके बाद ये मर जाती with this shot. So the reason is not only for the danger. Have you seen this? The color of the lift is, it's also that red, right? So you feel the kind of, is merging in the background. That kind of illusion is created, right? Because red, baki ke colors dekh lo and see the colors of that lady, see the colors of that costume. Is the red is a kind of sign of the danger also. At the same point of time, it's depict that now is in merging in the background, is no more. So sorry, says no more. So says merging in the background throughout the costumes colors. So it's also sign of danger as well as कि अब इसका कैरेक्टर में कुछ पॉइंट्स नहीं रहा है. So that's the reason gradually is start merging. One more thing I'm talking about the space is, have you seen the Mustafa right now? Is the name is Zero, where he is now? Okay, is in corner, right? And try to make a space in this frame. One aspect of this frame is it's shooting on 4:3. Like whole film is shooting 3 aspect ratio, right? It's also for the you can say that is for the journey. That's the reason 1930s दिखाया, 60s दिखाया. तो according to years they change the frame. कि उसी year में जो चल रहा था उस year को दिखाने के लिए just choose the frame. But one more reason, by using a 4:3 ratios, in starting always zero always trying to find a way to shift or to work with him. So क्या हो रहा है, you feel that in that corners he want to penetrate, वो अपने frame में खुद को adjust करना चाह रहा है. So suppose it's shooted on 16:9, empty of space होता और जो एक claustrophobic feeling है उस character की वो नहीं आ पाता, right? अगर ये 16:9 में शूट होते फिर there is empty of space. स्पेस इतना ज्यादा है, वो ट्राई क्यों करेगा अपने आप को फिट करने के लिए. बट नॉट दैट कैरेक्टर जीरो इज वांटेड टू, उस फ्रेम में इस कैरेक्टर के साथ वो फिट होना चाहता है. इट मींस इसकी लाइफ में वो फिट होना चाहता है. सो दैट्स द रीजन. बट अभी क्या है, इफ यू सी द स्क्रीन स्पेस, वो एक तो इस कैरेक्टर के पीछे है, इज द बिहाइंड दैट पर्सन जो होटल ऑनर है उसके पीछे है. एंड ऑल्सो देखोगे कि लग रहा है फ्रेम में कि जस्ट वांट टू मेक हिज ऑन स्पेस, वो अपना स्पेस बनाना चाह रहा है. So that's the one reason they also shoot it on 4:3. Just read it once, then. If you guys watch the movies, who is the antagonist? Have you seen the Dimity costumes? Is the Dimity? Have you seen the costumes? Always when he appear, how dark it is. Every time when he entered in the hotels also, or either जो funeral था उसमें भी always is wearing a black. So ऐसा नहीं कि black को significant कर दे is the negative characters, but for this particular film they are using black against that those purple colors. और तुम एक होटल का जो यूनिफॉर्म है वो जो देखोगे there's a purple, and always when he entered in the hotels ये भी हमेशा black पहना हुआ था. So create that things कि ये इस होटल से बिल्कुल अलग है, is not part of it. So that's the reason always he's wearing the black costumes. Okay, one frame that I'm talking about, that's I'm talking about the screen space, right? No, one second. Okay, if you guys watch the movies after this thing, or when वो जो उसके मर्डर होने के बाद जब ये लोग जेल जाते हैं और जेल से निकलते हैं, after that, have you seen the screen space that is sharing by the both person, the zero and the honors? Or it is, if you divided those scenes, दोनों को same amount of space मिला हुआ है, right? If you watch it carefully. अभी क्या, अभी इससे पहले जब भी दोनों की मीटिंग्स हुई है वो कहीं ना कहीं बैकग्राउंड में आइदर द स्क्रीन स्पेस जो उसका छोटा है अंदर जो भी स्क्रीन पे उसकी पॉजिटिव मिली है दैट इज स्मॉलर, बट आफ्टर दैट जब वो जेल में जाता है और जेल से निकलता है हेल्प टू जब उसे हेल्प करता है जेल से निकलने में, आफ्टर दैट दोनों का स्क्रीन स्पेस देखा आप लोगों ने बिल्कुल सेम होता है, इक्वल होता है दोनों का. सो नो काइंड ऑफ फ्रेंडशिप जो दोनों के बीच में हो गई, सो इक्वलिटी इज देयर. सो दैट्स द रीजन to depict that equality. स्क्रीन पे दोनों का प्रेजेंस लगभग सेम होता है. द वन मोर एग्जांपल फॉर इट कि how close this person is, how close Zero is in his wedding ceremony. If you watch that part, देखा है या नहीं सभी ने?
Yes, sir.
देखा है.
Yes.
Okay, have you seen this part? Right,
Yeah.
the wedding ceremony. Have you seen see the costumes? Right, which colors costume that the Zero wearing, and see the colors of that his honors. Both are same. है ना? सबके कलर्स, दोनों के कलर्स सेम है. So through that colors you feel that the how close they are. बाकी जो rest of the people see the colors of that person what they are using, see those colors or see the colors of this person. So do you feel that कि ये एक create करता है how close they are? So that's the reason. ये इसको किसी और कलर का भी पहना सकते थे, but why they choose it because of to show that how much close they are.
हेलो सर.
Yeah.
एक जगह और मतलब ट्रेन का एक फ्रेम रहता है जहाँ पे दोनों सेम लाइन में मतलब सोए रहते हैं, मतलब एक मतलब ऊपर से शॉट रहता है जिसमें दोनों मतलब इक्वल बोल सकते हैं कि हाइट पे सोए रहते हैं. ट्रेन का एक शॉट है.
Yeah. One second, one second. Voice में देखो. ये वॉइस पता नहीं यार काफी कट के आ रही है प्रॉब्लम है just drop a message ना मैं बता दूंगा इसको just drop a message okay you guys have watched that things have you seen the whole movies is in colored right but there's a one point there's a black and white
ये सर लास्ट में
when they murdered in train no? In train they murdered his honors right at that
यस
time whole scene become black and white right
यस
What's
सर
happening? So what you guys think about it? क्यों black and white कर दिया? Whole movies is on the in color. The first time you see that the skin has become black and white. Anyone have
So
any?
it is so
Yeah.
because Mr. Gustav was the only person who brought colors in his life, and at the very moment when he died, all the colors from his life went off. So to depict that emotion, the cinematographer used the black and white rather than color film.
But there's also one more thing. इतने colors हैं, but in the prisoners when they are in jail at that point of time, have you seen there's a lack of colors in this shot? This shot. And also they are shooted on 4:3, not only for the to replicate that there is a 90-30. Have you seen how much headroom they are giving? There's a one shot जब सारे prisoners भाग जाते हैं और is waiting for him. Have you guys seen that shot? जब सारे prisoners भाग जाते हैं ऊपर का top shot है. There's a one shot. There's another shot in 4:3 that they shooted through the holes जब कैमरे के थ्रू इन्हें introduce करता है कैमरे के थ्रू दिखाता है. Have you guys seen those shots? Okay, guys, tell me one thing. How many aspect ratios that you feel this film have shooting?
Sir, 3.
सर 3 एस्पेक्ट रेशियो है
3 aspect ratios, right? Read it once, and then I'll explain it. I'm showing you. Yes. Okay, you guys have noticed one thing in terms of interior of the hotels, color tone have been changed according to the trend have been changed. Have you feel that interior जो hotels के जो colors हैं it have been changed, not like the aspect ratios, but according to the trend it's keep changing. Have you feel that?
Yes, sir.
Which kind of colors you feel in the starting when movies have started? Which kind of color it was?
सर स्टार्टिंग में पिंक, लाइट पिंक, और फिर धीरे धीरे वो गोल्डन, मतलब येलो गोल्डन, मतलब लास्ट की ओर होते चला गया.
I feel kind of in terms of colors. Have you feel kind of you know the जब वो कुछ pinkish colors आता है? We feel that kind of that colors. Which kind of feelings you feel जब वो pink वाला feel आता है? Kind of nostalgia. You feel that
So
at
13th
any
one.
time when you are watching the movies. Have you feel the kind of nostalgic feeling that you have? Guys, have you ever feel that? जब pinkish सा थोड़ा shade आता है when you wear that kind of glasses, you feel that. And many times in that movies, you know. Okay. So when we talk about the frame of it, do you think that the most of the time it's totally symmetrical frame it is? Very balanced frame. No. I feel that every time if you divided the frame in three parts, every time you feel the very balanced frame. Why it is so? No. Anyone have any idea? Why is it so symmetrical? Hmm. Anyone? Hmm. Okay. You're welcome. I'll tell you. Okay, one more thing. There's a Swiss pen, two or three times. There's a Swiss pen, right? Have you seen those shots? The Swiss pen, the whip pen. Very fastly they pen from one character to another character in the hotel's room when they are discussing it. Have you seen those shots?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Your voice is breaking you. Yeah. One second, I'm just changing the lead. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I'm just changing. One second. क्या वॉइस आ रही है मेरी?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys must have gone through the specification. Which kind of lens they used? Do you have any idea? The lensing is more important part when you are filming something, right?
In the
I will go
starting,
through it on which lens they have shooted it.
they have used
And मैं जाके
anamorphic
देखता
anamorphic lenses in the starting.
Okay. But for the no, you're wrong. It's not anamorphic. When they are shooting 4:3 ratio, they are not using anamorphic lenses.
No, sir, in the starting, they when
It's already excuse 4:3. Already excuse why they choose the anamorphic instead of that. It's very difficult to create. Because once you are using the 4:3 ratio, you got more information in vertical axis, right? You got more information. So most of the image when you see there's a lots of headroom most of the time when they are using 4:3 ratio. Have you seen that there's a more space, more headroom? Sometimes people get na headroom but it's balanced. There must be some property above it. कोई property होता था या कुछ ऐसे होते थे या some tilt shots. That's कि 4:3 में जब tilt shot लेते हैं it's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. That's the reason they are not using anamorphic lenses. Okay. So 4:3 का जो ratio था, they are using the normal. Okay. So because then they shifted on 16:9, and then the another ratio. What is the another ratio is? The third one.
2.35.
academy, sorry,
So 2.49, sir. 2.49 or 2.50.
Has become the biggest.
cinemascope ratio.
So for the 4:3, they are not using it. For the 4:3 ratio, you guys have watched many movies on 4:3, right? It's only for the feeling of nostalgical feeling or something else that you feel once the person choose 4:3. But right now, अभी भी हम 4:3 पे shoot करते हैं. So it's kind only for the nostalgic feeling or something else.
No, sir. I think कि screen dominance जो मतलब फिल्म में है वो स्टोरी लाइन के साथ चेंज होता है तो इसलिए एस्पेक्ट रेशियोस फिक्स होते रहे टाइमलाइन.
So what I think that 4:3 ratio give more emphasis on the character. We don't get distract with the world around the character. We are more into what character is doing. We feel more means हम characters को ज़्यादा feel कर पाते हैं rather than उनके background पे हम लोग focus करते हैं. So when we are emphasizing on a character, 4:3 can be used, sir.
You say that the once you are shooting on 4:3, we more emphasize the character than the
Yes, sir.
background and the subtle background, whatever the the
Yes, sir.
behind the
So,
characters.
and sir, we also subtly telling that the character world is very, very short. What should I say? Well, his world is very, very narrow. He's not living his full life. Therefore, he's 4:3 ratio is used.
It's 4:3 ratio is not only showing that. So your perspective is what जो आपने observe किया, that is also right. Many times a 4:3 is for, the create that the nostalgic feel, or the kind of the is not they have no that much of ample of a space that they don't have. That's the reason we are using the 4:3. Because of the one example, I just remember the one example. If you guys have watched the Parasite, right? Parasite. Have
Yes, sir.
you watched it?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen जो actual जो realistic दिखाया है उसने, the one thing how they made it, have you guys seen that जो उसका mirror होता है outside से जो light आती है, the more light is coming from that side, windows होता है, बड़ा सा glass जो होता है जिसपे curtains लगे होते हैं, they actually the DOP actually made that things on the ratio of 16:9, or the because 16 is the modern days era, so they made it on the 16:9. उसका जो रेशियो देखो उस रेशियो में बनाया हुआ है, they actually made it on the ratio of 16:9. when that person जो उसके नौकर जो काम करते हैं, and they see their windows and the how poor they are, कैसे एक ही घर में रहते हैं, the clusterness and the claustrophobic feelings, to create that kind of feelings. घर भी देखो बहुत छोटा दिखाया था, and also they choose the aspect ratio of windows is 4:3. So one aspect what you are telling about that कि वो feel करने के लिए sometimes we use a 4:3. So उसके विंडो पैरासाइट में उसके विंडो का देखोगे clearly they made it 4:3. ऐसा नहीं कि लगा दिया था, they made it 4:3 रेशियो में बनाया था उसके विंडोज को, और उसके विंडोज को जहाँ से उसके घर में लाइट आती है, so see how much light is coming, so if you feel that energy. Okay, but इसके घर में एक छोटे से 4:3, see the size of the windows, but the aspect ratio is the 4:3. So sometimes if you see the lighthouse, there's a 4:3. If you guys have watched that film, it's also kind of claustrophobic feelings कि एक लग रहा है कहीं से तुम्हें trap किया गया है, तुम्हें frame किया गया है, you feel that thing sometimes. That's the reason sometimes 4:3 is used. It's not only for the nostalgic feelings that the 1930s का कुछ दिखाना है तो then just come and shoot on 4:3 aspect ratios. Every ratio have a certain different meanings, and it's depend on directors what they want to use. If you see the Fevicol's ad, उसमें भी use किया हुआ है ना? Have you seen that ad, guys? उसमें 4:3 use किया हुआ है. So sometimes for the claustrophobic feelings, sometimes you need more information, the vertical information, more vertical information. So that's the reason sometimes you use that aspect ratio. So it's depend. It's totally depend. So yeah, I had just mentioned the sweep pan and whip pan. Why we are panning the cameras when there's a Swiss pan, right? It's a human nature. Your camera just mimic on the जब तुम pan करते हो, the human bodies. जैसे हम मूव करते हैं, ये समझ लो हमें मिमिक कर रहा है, कैमरा इज मिमिकिंग है, राइट? उसी चीज को मिमिक करता है. सपोज कि यू आर जस्ट सिटिंग एट योर होम और किसी ने हॉन्क किया, तो द वेरी इजीली यू जस्ट पैन ना, बहुत इजीली गर्दन घुमाओगे ना, एट वन एक्सिस योर शोल्डर्स ओवर हियर, यू ओनली मूव योर नेक की गर्दन घुमा के नॉर्मली देखोगे. बट सपोज किसी ने किचन में ग्लास बहुत जोर से गिरा दिया, सडनली यू हर्ड द साउंड दैट, या किसी गिरने का साउंड, या किसी एक्सीडेंट का, या कार के टायर के क्रंचिंग का, एक्सीडेंट का साउंड सुनोगे, विच काइंड ऑफ रिएक्शन यू विल शो? कैसा रिएक्शन होगा तुम्हारा? यू फास्टली यू मूव योर नेक और शोल्डर, बहुत जल्दी तुम क्या करोगे, बहुत फास्टली तुम मूव करोगे. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट ये हमारे ही इमोशंस को मिमिक करता है. सो दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई देयर इज अ स्विस पेन. इफ यू गाइस रिमेंबर दोस सीन, वहां कौन से डायलॉग्स चल रहे थे?
So those were about so when there was an encounter between the M. Gustav and the Dimitri, the whip pan was used a lot.
Yeah, sometimes you yeah.
There was also a scene when Gustav and Zero was stealing a frame, and there are three missionaries are sitting on a bench, and we
Anything else? Anyone? Have you seen many times when there's a heating arguments is there, they are using the Swiss pan. Okay. To introducing why we are painting, to introduce some new information. That's the reason we use pan, right? एक नया information add on करते हैं. That's the reason we pen, and it's depend upon the situations, or it's depend upon the mood. कि तुम किस तरीके. Sometimes this pan is very slow. Okay, sometimes there's a Swiss pan, but there's a very slow pan for those two characters. अगर देखोगे कि one character से दूसरे character के बीच में जा रहा है, there's a very slow pan. So there's some psychology behind it. There's a difference between one character to another character. कि बहुत ज़्यादा difference है दोनों के बीच में. So that's the reason there's a very slowly they pan it. So one psychology behind it कि तुम एक ही घर में दो character बैठे हैं, at the one sofa is sitting, another person sitting in the another corner, and your camera is very slowly pan होता है, बहुत ही slowly pan होता है. So which kind of mood, which kind of feel they created, आपको उससे क्या समझ में आता है कि बहुत ही दोनों के बीच का जो distance है वो बहुत ज़्यादा, they are sitting in a one room and the one positions, but the separation जो है दोनों के बीच का बहुत ज़्यादा है. So every camera movement have certain reasons, कि ऐसे नहीं कि हमने ऐसे ही पैन कर दिया. तो every moment, चाहे वो तुम्हारा कैमरा पैन कर रहा हो, either your camera is tracking, either your camera is on slider, either on gimbals, किसी भी चीज़ पे अगर कैमरा मूव कर रहा है, there is a certain reasons, you know. So just when you are watching the movies, just find out the reasons why they are panning, why they are zooming. In this film also there's a zooming shot to emphasize that character, emphasize the emotion. 2 or 3 times they just zoom in. Okay, so any camera movement, or either the static characters or static camera positions, there is a certain reasons, and the film आप देखते हो, to just find out those reasons why they are taking this kind of pan or this kind of shot, why they are using the telephoto lenses, why they use the wide angle lenses, why here is the the distorted images they produced. So you have to find those things. Just answer it. Don't write as earlier I mentioned. Don't write adjectives कि बहुत अच्छा pan किया था और बहुत अच्छा वो किया था. Well, don't write like that. So every camera moment have the certain logic, है ना, कि तुम किस every particular जो भी आप use कर रहे हो, techniques आप use कर रहे हो, उससे कुछ ना कुछ अलग impact है. If your camera is in slider, there is another impact. The camera dolly पे there is another impact. So every particular have there's individual roles. So just when you are watching those movies, just find out those things कि ये क्यों किया है, why they choose the close frame, why they are using the wide angle, why they are using the telephoto lenses. For the telephoto, I have the example, I just mentioned it. I have an example. Have you seen Seven Samurai? If you guys have watched the Seven Samurai, see, they just shooted the battle scene on telephoto lenses. But once, if you got the chance to shoot some battle scene or something else, preferably if I didn't watch that movies before that, I thought we will go with the wide angle lenses, because as wide angle lenses, more people will inside the frame, and you can the justify the geographical factor of that particular areas, because in the battle scene most of the time we just want to reveal the geographical factor of that scene, right? So हम क्या करते, we just go with the wide angle lenses. But why they choose telephoto lenses, there is a certain moment, और वो टेलीफोटो लेंस की खासियत है कि थोड़ा भी मूवमेंट को अगर तुम पैन करोगे, बहुत ही ड्रामेटिक इम्पैक्ट होता है if you are using telephoto lens for the panning, but it's very hard to the operate. But if you are using telephoto lens, if anyone have watched that films, you can notice that they are shooting it on telephoto. More the battle scene they are shooting on the telephoto lenses. So the specific reason to use it, they can use the wide angle lenses, but वो स्टोरी क्रिएट नहीं हो पाती, तो क्लोजनेस जो है दो पर्सन का साथ लोगों का वो पता नहीं हो पाता है, वो बैटल का जो है कि सात लोग ही लड़ रहे हैं वो फील नहीं हो पाता. सो दैट्स द रीजन telephoto lenses have the narrow angle of view, so there's a compression and there's a dynamic movement you feel, because in the wide angle you will not feel that the dynamic movement. Every time you need something must be in the foreground, So if you move your camera in a wide angle lens, there must be the foreground. In many films, you guys can see that if there's a wide angle lens or there's a movement, they just put something in the foreground. So at least you just feel the movement. है ना? उसको move होने का जो है, उसको घूमने का जो है, so you can feel it. So that's the reason in wide angle lenses, always you feel and always you see there's a foreground. There must be the foreground. So the use of lenses, why they use it. So I'm just giving you the few examples. You got telephoto देखना है, just go through it कि कैसे telephoto में use किया है, how they use in the Seven Samurai, how they use it, how they use the static frame. Sometimes you feel there's no movement. Always the film is not always about the movement, but it's real. It's about the movement. But which kind of movement? Not always the camera movement. Movement could be anything, the movement of your character. When I'm talking about the movement, it didn't mean that I'm only talking about the camera panning, camera dollying, or moving with the gimbals and at all. I'm not talking about that only. Movement could be anything. Okay. Not only the cameras, the movement of your character can also make your frame dynamic. Movement of the nature can make your frame dynamic. Like if you guys have watched that movies or Kursova's movies, Rashomon. The board frame is a static, it's very a static film that was, बहुत static camera movement है. But there's a movement, you feel there's a life. How you feel it? Because there's a movement of nature, there's a water's rippling, there's a air, so कुछ move हो रहा है something. So movement didn't always mean that कि तुम्हारा सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो है कैमरा मूवमेंट है. Movement could be anything. Either it's the nature हो सकता है, तुम्हारे character का movement हो सकता है. When there's a movement, you feel there's a life, right? तुम static image में, still image में भी you can feel that there's a dynamicness when your person is moving, or either the hair is in, that there's a wind, or वो hair पे कुछ hair का लग रहा है, so you feel that there's a life. So that kind of movement can be anywhere. So it didn't mean that when I'm talking about the movement, it's only the camera movement. It could be the character that make your frame dynamic, or it could be the nature or anything that can be within the frame. You can feel that those movements. One second here. So I'm asking some questions. But did anyone just want to ask anything? Just ask me. Okay.
Sir, I have a question. Action camera tracking focus या tracking focus के साथ बहुत अच्छा काम कर लेता है तो
Can you write it down? Can you write it down, please?
Yes, sir.
There is some problem with my microphone or what, I don't know. Voice is breaking. Not getting it. Just write it down. I'll answer you.
Sir, I typed the question in the chat box.
Your question, when we're discussing look, then I will discuss on it. Okay, I will discuss on it, how to create a look of a film, or how we decided the look of it. So then we'll discuss on it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so today I just discussed only the one film in terms of colors, so was the basics of it. But from tomorrow, I just started with the each and every moment. What focusing method does it use? Tracking focus. What kind of focusing method does it use? Trisha. Because the action camera have the wide angle lenses. Have you seen any action camera have the telephoto? If your answers in your questions. Because the action camera have the wide angle lenses. These are action cameras. Most of the camera have the wide angle. So that's the reason usko focus track करने में दिक्कत नहीं होती है. You feel the problems when there's a telephoto lenses or tele lenses. At that point of time, you feel that कि तुम्हारा जो है problem हो रहा है. But अगर ऐसा कुछ in terms of DSLR you are using and you want to focusing, just try to use that the servo mode, in servo mode, you can track your focus. You know? Use the servo focusing method. That's good. Okay. But actually, literally, the answer is that try to use it manually. Okay. Whatever the moment you want to capture, I suggest you guys. It's just a technical term. That's why I'm explaining you. But the terms is when you are using manual focus, actually you are doing your focus pulling exercise. So at least you can judge the distance by using it. Maybe you will fail sometimes. Try करते रहो. You got your things. तो exactly क्या होगा तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा कि किस distance से किस distance तक आने पे खुद के कैमरे से focus करो. Either you have the 1855, don't go with you don't have the cinema lenses. Distance का mapping ऐसे ही होता है. At least you got an idea about it, how you use the focus. So on depending on the autofocus, look, it's totally, the techniques depend upon the cameras and the situations how it perform. But when you perform manually, you know the things. Maybe sometimes बहुत अच्छे shot or you are using autofocus और वो focus छोड़ देगा. So don't go with it. Just try to focus manually. Try to focus manually. क्या होगा, धीरे धीरे आदत बन जाएगी. करते रहोगे धीरे धीरे हैबिट हो जाएगा और फिर वो easy होगा यूज करना. So try to use it manually, because if you guys in using cinema cameras or either use the cinema lenses, you have to use manual focus. There is no autofocus in cinema lenses. You have to do it manually. So try to practice on it. Don't depend on autofocus. It's just for the technical terms. That's why we have discussed it. Okay. Anything else, guys? Just drop a message. There are some very fast sections or some, but they are using telephoto sometime. How they manage to focus. The object is totally Java focus pullers here. It's totally Java focus pullers. Okay. In action, how they fastly they move, they just map those things. So they just did it. They just do it. Very trained focus puller is there, so they use it. And they use if they are using telephoto lenses, they are using the distance. First thing, they are using the distance, and also they are using a little bit larger f number. So you got that kind of depth of it. Character तुम्हारा autofocus नहीं जाएगा. Sometimes if we are using telephoto lenses, at that time we feel that कि telephoto भी use करे तो we just increase the aperture, because on telephoto we create that feel of telephoto, but we want a great depth of field. So what we can do, we just manipulate with the distance. We create the distance and we just increase a little bit app number. So you got that much of depth of field. So we just manipulate these things. Okay. Yeah, they shoot it on S4, but right now in S8 is in market, right? If you guys remember. S4 and S4i, sorry, S4i it is, not the S4, it's S4i. S4i is the intelligent technology of it. Just go to the website and check it out of the two lenses. I is the intelligence, it's the kind of lens data system. कि तुम्हारा जो भी information है for the frame rate, for the aperture, for the focusing distance, or the aperture or depth of field, every detail is recorded as like metadata. So there's a book S4i, the lenses. Just type a message. Anyone just want to ask?
Quickly, I'll ask a question. After looking at a film, no one in the world can tell which lens you have shot with it. So don't get into this Cook Optics or Arri or some other company. All these brand names will not help you. There are 12 brand names which manufacture the cinema lenses. No one in the world can say after looking at the image that this particular film is shot with this particular lens. Okay? So get out of this nonsense of these brand names. It is a cinematographer, and I'm not saying that the quality of lens do not matter. It do matter. But all these brand names will charge 4 times more than I have seen a film shot with the Canon. Large format lenses, large format camera with the lenses. Brilliantly shot image in India, a Marathi film. No one can say that it is not shot on would a quality of Alexa. It would give a quality of Alexa. Until unless if I tell you. Okay? Get out of this nonsense of names. It is just the quality of a lens. There may be 5 companies, 7 companies who are manufacturing equally good quality. Okay, 1. 2. Watch the film again. Half of you people who are sitting over here have not seen the film. I can ask a question and I can easily figure it out who has not seen the film. So take a pen, watch a good quality print. It is available on the Hotstar. Maybe one film there is some subscription, I don't know. But if you don't have a subscription, watch the good quality thing. Watch it carefully and then watch the various elements. It is there is a gaffer and then there is a grip. Grip is done by a man called Sami, Sanjay Sami. Sanjay Sami is the only person from this in this country after Mulchand, Mulchand is a gaffer and Sanjay Sami is a grip. Means trolley, crane, etc., etc. He has worked with maximum international production. So Sanjay Sami has worked on this film. And Robert Human, the DOP I had interviewed in Goa Film Festival, not on this film, but in journal. But maybe at some point when I would be a little more prepared in terms of the question, a specific question which I wanted to ask. I would do a Zoom interview with him at some point, not immediately. But watch the film again and again. Watch all various videos available. Watch film first and then watch the videos and then read whatever material available, particularly his interview in the ASC, which is available online. If you could go and figure it out. I interviewed in a different sense of the term, not in journal basically, not specifically on this film. So till you watch a film, you will not be able to comment or analyze or do the thing. So this is just a basic preparatory ground so that later on you could. We are not going to give you the notes कि यहाँ से पढ़ना चालू करो यहाँ तक खत्म कर लो. What matter is that you write individual notes which will give your perception about the film. That is what the examiner is looking at it. And be precise and focused in your answer rather than unnecessarily going long because there is not much of a time over there. So today, this is done for today. Next week, we'll figure it out what need to be taught and that's it. So, Kanhiya, you can unshare this PPT.
Sure, sir. I'm just mailing you this PPT.
That you can do it later on, but right now just exit from here in terms
Okay,
of.
sir.
Okay, so I'm just launching the poll, which is going to be your attendance. So that's it. Those who are here is fine. Those who are gone to sleep, there is no problem. Nobody is waiting for them. I saw 25 people up there in the beginning. 3 have gone to sleep. Good. They feel too sleepy too early, and they will also feel sleepy when the exam would be there. So it's good. 22 is too many people. FTI need only 10 sincere, hardworking, and intelligent people. That's it. So wonderful. This gives you a little basic momentum. And if you will not work out your own notes, nobody can help you out. We can just show you the path like a Google map, but you have to move further. Okay.